Hi, my name is Wieteke and I'm an ET channeler. I've been having contact with extraterrestrials since a fairly young age, and I finally ended up here as a channel, and I really, it's my passion and my joy. I really love sharing information on topics related to interstellar contact and exploring your own multi-dimensionality in any way, shape or form. So this is why this video I want to devote to the idea of our so-called awakening or ascension, and why extraterrestrials are even a part of that. For a lot of people that is a big question mark. They may have been living a spiritual life, working on themselves and looking at old traumas, integrating them, learning beautiful things out of them, and yay to you all for doing that. Thank you so much, because you're not just healing yourself, you're healing the world by doing these kind of things. But nevertheless, there's a lot of spiritual people out there who wonder, why ETs? So what's going on with Ascension and how do ETs link in with that? So I've been thinking about how to explain this to people in a video and have it be clear, because it's not an easy topic to explain just like that. And I wanted it to be accessible and understandable also for the people who are rather new to this. So I have decided to use an allegory, a story that has been thought up by Plato. And anyone who is into philosophy knows this one already, but I'm going to use it as an example in this story. Plato was a Greek philosopher, and he thought of a story to explain to people how the world works. And it's the story of the cave. So I'm going to use this little board to make it a little bit more clear for people. So what Plato thought of, imagine there's a cave. And in this cave there's 3 people, and they are somehow bound to the ground or something. Somehow they are locked in a position that forces them to look this way at this wall of the cave. Behind them they cannot do anything else but looking at that wall. That's the only direction they can focus at. Behind them there is another wall, and it still has some room on top of that. And here there is a fire, so there's a source of light. Other people who are not locked in the cave walk behind this wall. They walk past the people who are locked into the cave, and they carry all kinds of stuff on their head. Maybe it's a vase with flowers. Maybe they are carrying a chicken. I don't know if people carry chickens on their head, but who knows. And maybe they carry, what else could you carry on your head? Like a basket with fruits. Okay, cool, I have something else. Okay, so people are walking in the back here and they are carrying these objects on their heads. And the fire, of course, sheds a light and projects shadows on this wall. So the prisoners in the cave only see the shadows of the objects that the people are carrying on their heads. And for their entire life, this is how Plato thought of the story, their entire life they have not been able to see anything other than the shadows on this wall. To them, this is reality. This is what we call 2D, two-dimensional. If you look at a drawing like this, it's two-dimensional. So they've been looking at a two-dimensional world, believing that that is the real world. This is all there is. For them, there is no other reality. Then one of the prisoners in Plato's allegory breaks free, and he gets into the real world that we know as three-dimensional. And he looks around, and first he can hardly believe his eyes. He he can hardly believe that that is actually true. And he has a real difficulty understanding that. But then, after some time, he gets used to it and he starts to understand that the situation that he was in before was the actual false image, you might say. It was a projection. And now he understands that, and he wants to discover more about himself and about the real world. So he goes traveling and he discovers what it is like to fall in love with another person and what meaning in life you can find within yourself. And then when he feels all enriched with that, he remembers the other prisoners in the cave and he goes back to tell them about what he has discovered. And he comes back and he tells them about it, and they won't believe him because they don't have any other, they can't compare his words to anything that they are familiar with. So it's really hard for them to imagine what he's saying to be true. They get so upset with this other person's findings that they even say, if you continue to talk to us like this, if you continue to try to convince us of this nonsense, we will kill you. So that's the end of the story. And Plato used it as a comparison to the real world as we know it, to say that there is another level, And right now, with the awakening as we know it to be, this is in a sense what is happening yet one step higher. So now, this is how I see it. You have the real world, so the people walking with the flowers and the chicken and the fruit, they are used to the 3D world, which is actually 4D because time is also a dimension that we're in. So we're in a fourth dimensional world, to be completely correct. And so these people think that that is the real world. So what we see is each other's three-dimensional shapes, fourth dimensional really. We see this world that we can touch. We can, you know, this is a real thing. I can prove it. Look, this is a real board. It's right here. I can touch it. So this is what we're looking at now, and this has become our screen. So it's really Plato's story all over again, but we're being invited to look beyond the physical. And this is really interesting. So this is where it gets really interesting, I believe. So we know that when we sleep that we dream. And that when we don't dream, I mean, this has been scientifically proven by now, that you go insane. You don't go insane if you don't sleep a lot, necessarily, but you do go insane if you don't get a chance to dream. Now, why is that? Scientists have already discovered this as a fact, but I haven't heard yet of a scientific explanation of why that is. Why I understand it to be, also from my guides that I work with, is that because when we dream, we realign with source. So maybe I should just make a drawing for this next level. This is us, or this is anybody. And as I understand it to be, we are all connected with our soul, with energy that is of a higher frequency, and even more so, the biggest part of us is still there. We're focused in this body, but we are focused there with our persona, mind. We're not, basically, we haven't come down to earth all the way. Most of us is still up there, if you want to point in any direction. I would say up, because as a comparison, it's a higher frequency, so up in that sense, but really the energy is everywhere. So the higher part of you is also still the bigger part of you. This is what most people call the higher self, or the soul, or the higher mind, whatever you want to call it. So when you dream, this is where you go, basically. Or where it's one of the levels, because you connect to all kinds of higher levels when you dream. It's one of the levels that you reconnect with when you dream. And you do that to give the spiritual part of you, which is in anybody, to how do you call this? To recharge that part of you, to recharge your spiritual part. And when it is recharged, you can function again in this focused in physical world. So you could say that this body that we're in, oh no, of course this pen is quitting on me. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. Is 3D, or including time, to be more correct. This is 4D. Well, you can see this video, basically me sharing this with you. When you look around at your computer, at your home, your room, fourth dimensional reality, right? And anything higher than that is fifth, sixth, and up. Your soul is part of those higher frequencies. So you reconnect with that all the time, you're always connected with that, and there is a lot of stuff going on there. Your parallel lives, what in the older approach is still being referred to as past lives. But now we are starting to realize, and this also goes with looking from a higher dimension, that time is really relative and a creation that we use to function in the lower frequencies. Since time is relative, everything is really just here and now, so every past life that you've ever had is really just a parallel life, and it's happening simultaneously with you being right here and now. So you have all kinds of other versions of your soul, not of you, but of your soul, living other lives, but you are connected to that through your soul. So you could say your soul has all these like extensions into different directions, living all kinds of human parallel lives. And of course this goes up and up and up and up, all the way to the one, the universe, all that is. And in the higher souls, because your soul even has a soul, which is called an oversoul, and this goes on and on and on, but your oversoul is connected even to galactic societies and interstellar connections that everybody has. So once you start to wake up to that, there's this entire other world. People that you hear speak about astral traveling, people that have really amazing energetic experiences during meditation, people that have been experiencing or really activating within themselves the ability to lucid dream. All of that is basically the breaking free out of Plato's cave, but then seeing the cave as our 3D, 4D world that we are in right now, to the next level, where there is the ultimate overview, at least ultimate from where we're coming from now. Because there's another ultimate overview over that one, and so on and so on. All the way back to the one, and the one experiencing all that is simultaneously every here and now moment. So yes, this is how I would explain the awakening era, this beautiful ascension time that we are in. We're basically in an evolved stage of Plato's cave, and we're all in it together, and it's really beautiful. And I love how we are discovering more and more of who we really also are. Nothing is being excluded here. You are in this physical body and you are multidimensional. You're both. You're not this or that. You're really this and that. And it's just so beautiful. It's like this guy who broke free from the cave and he came back and he understands that the shadows are real in their own way. And he can see how that can be a reality. But he also knows that the people that walk around, that cause the shadows to cast on the wall, that is also real. There is another reality, there's a higher reality. And right now we're just waking up to the next level. So this is how I see it. Maybe this clarifies a little bit for you, and maybe it doesn't, and then I'm sure there's something else for you out there. Keep on looking, it's so much fun to explore, and I thank you for watching this video. Maybe you would like to know more about me and my work with my guides, and then you can look at the links below and check them out. Maybe you find that interesting too. And yes, well, thank you for watching and keep on shining. Have a beautiful day. Ciao!